taking up space in your whole body. Like your whole body is a balloon, and you're starting to create space between fascia, connective tissue, muscle fibers, joint capsules, and especially in the mind. Paying attention to the gap between the thoughts. Slowly begin to curl the fingertips towards the palms. Lift your hands off the floor, bend your elbows, and take your hands over your heart space. Hands like pancakes, one stacked on top of the other. Notice the beating of your heart. And slowing the heart rate down as you deepen your breath. Visualize a seed at the center of your heart as an intention for what you would like to cultivate, create, or tune into during your practice. Releasing any attachments to the outcome, releasing expectations that intention will show up. As you reach your arms towards the door, past your crown, start to bring the legs together, point through the toes, and stretch in two equal and opposite directions. On an exhale, roll over to your left side, make a pillow with your arms, bend your knees, and pause. Begin to press your right hand into the earth. Help yourself up to your left hand right under your shoulder. And then reach your right arm past your crown. Inhale there. Maybe blink the eyes open. Maybe keep your eyes closed. Maybe some slight movement here. Maybe hand is on hip. Sweep that right arm down and around. Switch to the other side. Knees pointing towards the mirror. And reach past the crown of your head. If your shoulder doesn't like that, you can place your hand on your hip and rotate a little bit there. Good. Circle sweep your left arm forward and then open up that left knee and you're in Baddha Konasana. Shake your legs out a little bit there. And then inhale, big breath here. Watching your hands move in space. Big reach up, inhale. On an exhale, take your hands wide, support yourself as you bow forward. Inhale, sweep your arms to the sky. Start to close the legs up, heel toe your feet, sit bone width distance apart. Place your hands behind you. You can have flat hands here, knuckles, fists. Lift up tabletop, just as high as feels good. If you lift your hips higher, you'll get a deeper stretch in your shoulders, as well as shifting forward a little bit if you want more shoulder stretch. Maybe you just kind of want to wiggle it out here. And then slowly come down to your hips. Cross at your ankles, or you can swing your legs off to the side and come into a child's pose, wide-legged. Knees wide, big toes touch, and then just bowing forward. And let me know if your knees are really uncomfortable on this thin mat and hard floor. I do have blankets available to place under your knees and rest if you need them. Beginning to inhale, coming to a tabletop position. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And allowing some movement in the spine here. So cow pose as you inhale. And exhale, round through your spine, cat pose. If you are closing the eyes, maybe that can bring a little bit more awareness internally to what's happening in the body. But if you're more comfortable with your eyes open, that's great. Just being present with what you see and present with what you're feeling in your body. Finding one more round of cat-cow. Beginning an ujjayi breath, where your lips are sealed. You're inhaling through the nose, walking the knees back, gazing between the hands. Exhale, chaturanga to your belly. Pausing here, hands under shoulders. You're just going to circle out the shoulders. You can do both together or figure eight the shoulders. And then press through the toenails and hands push down and pull back. So hands push down, pull back towards the hips. Little lift, baby cobra, inhale. Exhale, come down, and you'll stack your hands right ear to your hands. So just relax for a minute. Let's actually bend the knees and windshield wipe the legs. So you're going to massage your quadriceps on the floor. Release the legs. Draw your hands underneath your shoulder blades. Roll your shoulders back. Inhale to a back bend that feels good. So any height that feels good. Just a little one, or a little higher, or an up dog. And exhale, release. Stack your hands like pancakes. Left ear down, bend your knees. Windshield wipe your legs from side to side. And release your legs down. Hands under the shoulders, puppies pose. So just a gentle shoulder opener. So knees under hips. Walk your hands forward. You can come to fingertips or flat hands. Trying to reach the arms away from the floor as you melt your heart down. Maybe you're moving in and out of this a few times. And just another knee check-in. If your knees are not happy right now, you can let me know and get you a blanket. Allowing the next inhale to inspire some movement again, coming to a plank pose. And on an exhale, downward facing dog. So if down dog doesn't sound inviting to your body, then you can go to a child's pose or puppy's pose again. If you choose down dog, creating some movement through the heels, bending one knee and the other knee. And shaking out the head a little bit. Perfect. Spreading the fingers wide. Take another full grounding inhalation. Looking to the top of your mat as you exhale, walking forward little steps or 2 big steps. Uttanasana. Grabbing opposite elbows and just swaying from side to side. Release your hands and use your hands, walk your hands up your legs to support yourself as you come up. And once you're upright, finding mountain pose, big inhale, exhale down through the heart center. Keep going, inhale. Connecting breath and movement. Breath synchronized movement. Inhale one more time. On this exhale, hands come down through the heart center and then make your way into a lunge with your right leg forward, your left leg back. We'll take the left long edge of the sticky mat and fold it in for knee cushion and then release the back toes. From here, you're creating different movements through the hips. So either flexion of the knee and extension of the knee. So deeper flexion of the hip, a little bit more opening there. Or you can go abduction, adduction, or different variations of that. So adding a little bit of movement to explore what your hips need at this point. And then we'll pause in Anjaneyasana. You're hugging the legs together isometrically to find some support to lift up. Reaching your heart to the top of the mountain in front of you, offering this beautiful open postural pose, holding steady for one more breath, and exhale. Release your hands, tuck your back toes, and lift your back knee, and we'll come into a runner's lunge and just feel the intensity of a long runner's lunge as your hips go down and up. And then use your back leg like a spring. Step forward and switch it out. Other side. So big step back with your right leg. Fold the long edge of your sticky mat. Release your back toes. Exploratory research of that left hip, the hamstring, external rotation at the hip, internal rotation, just moving through some flexion and extension, some rotation of the spine perhaps. And then pausing, feeling the legs hug together to the center of your yoga mat to give you some support to lift and expand. Anjaneyasana, humble lunge, opening the heart to the top of the mountain, finding that gaze, something you can focus on for a moment. One more breath. And exhale, release your hands to the earth. Tuck your back toes, lift the back knee, and then just feeling the intensity of a big runner's lunge as you bring the hips down and up. And if it's too intense, back knee down. And back leg becomes like a spring as you push off of it. Step forward, unfold the mat. And then we'll work through some forward fold movements here. Just on your own, you can kind of move in and out of it. You can twist. You can hug the backs of your knees. You can grab your elbows again in front. Just whatever you need. Maybe shake out the arms, shake out the head. And this time we'll roll up a little bit differently. We'll round through the spine, pull the navel in, and just stack one vertebrae at a time. Taking care of your back as you come up. Once again, once you're upright, just roll the shoulders out a few times. And then interlace your fingers behind you. Push your knuckle pads down towards the earth, and then take your right hand to pull your left hand towards your outer right hip. And then you're looking a little bit to the left, and then drop your head over towards the right shoulder. If that doesn't feel good, rotate your head and move your neck until you find a place that feels good for your neck. Inhale, sweep your arms to sky. Exhale, same thing, but other side, interlace your fingers, your second favorite way. So the first way is probably more natural. The second might feel a little bit more awkward. And then pull the right hand towards the left glute or outer hip. And then look to the right. Yep. And then the head can move over the left ear towards the left shoulder. Stretching through the big sternocleidomastoid muscle here, and the scalenes, and even the traps. Taking your head forward, just moving around until you feel a nice neck release. Good. Inhale, sweep your arms to sky. And exhale, hands to heart center. It's almost DT pose. Big toes touch heels slightly apart. And just pausing, either closing your eyes or find a focal point out in front. Practicing your human being versus human doing. And allowing that beingness to guide you as you continue on your practice. We're going to open up towards the pool. So you'll just take your left leg back and right leg goes wide. So look at your feet. And it's kind of hard to tell. You just have to guesstimate. But if you take your arms to a T, if you were to drop a pendulum from your wrist, that pendulum would intersect the center of the ankle. So just kind of guesstimating from where you are, your perspective. And then inhale, reach your arms to sky. As you exhale, dive forward. Send your hips back, inner thighs back without locking the knees. Come into a forward fold. And then begin to move the hips around. You can shift them side to side. You can even do some hip circles here. Hips anterior, posterior tilt. As you inhale, lengthen your spine into equal and opposite directions. Tailbone towards the mirror, crown towards the pool. And exhale, dive in as far down as feels good for your body. Option to grab ankles or walk the hands back behind you towards the mirror. And then just shake out the head here, a little traction for the spine. A good opportunity to work on your respiratory strength as you hang upside down, breathing as deep as you can. In through the nose, out through the nose. Hands walk back, forward, under the shoulders where we started. Heels come in, and right hand to thigh, left hand to thigh. As you push into the thighs, allow the thighs to press back into the hands and twist to the right. So you're looking to the right. Inhale, we'll come up to lengthen, reach overhead. Body grows up like a tree, and exhale, twisting to the other side. So as you push those legs out, let the legs push back into the hands, which allows that beautiful spinal rotation. Inhale, reach up. We'll do that one more time inside. Big breath. Exhale and twist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale and twist. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, release, arms to your sides. We're just going to work on some knee mobility right now. So all you're doing is shifting from side to side. Everybody's knees are different. So if you need more, you could come into full flexion, skandasana is what we call it in yoga. If you need to stay more upright, that's great too. So maybe one side can go more deep than the other.
And finishing that off on both sides. And when you're ready, we'll come into a down dog. So head towards me, feet to the back of the room, and bicycle it out, or child's pose, or puppy's pose. If you choose downward facing dog, think of lifting your hips up towards the top of the mountain, like your body is a mountain, shape of that V, and really rooting down through the hands and feet, and lifting the tailbone to the sky. Slowly come down to your knees if you're not already there. Pause on all fours and send your right leg back when you're ready. Good. So left toes can be tucked or released. It's up to you. And if you want that extra cushion again, feel free to give that to your knee. We're crossing the right leg over to the left. Yep. And look over your left shoulder, making a crescent shape of the body. Little iliotibial band stretch. So from the top of the hip, the glute med and the tensor fasciae latae muscles that start there and then become the IT band. And so just visualizing that tight, well, muscles at the top, and then the tight band of tissues, the iliotibial band, stretching, lengthening, releasing. And start to straighten out the spine, lift that right leg up, and then send it all the way over to the right. Coming up, so this one now with more body weight on that knee, you may want that cushion. And then look, I always think that my leg's straight out to the side and then I come up and I'm like, not quite. So see that the center of your hip aligns with the center of your knee, the center of your ankle. Inhale, reach to sky. Exhale, bowing forward into another adductor stretch. Moving the inner thighs back and your tailbone's lifting up towards the sky if you need more. If you need less, tuck the tailbone. Inhaling, coming up nice and slow. Reach to the sky once again, and on an exhale, left hand meets the earth, big side stretch. Circle sweep your right arm down and set up for all fours again. If your left knee wasn't happy with that last exercise, then set up your right knee with the cushion. Left leg goes back on an inhale and cross over to the right. Toes stay active, heel up, look over your right shoulder, and try and move your hips to the left as your shoulders go to the right. Left shoulder moves somewhat forward as the right shoulder moves somewhat back to the hip. Inhale, pick up that left foot, sweep the horizon, send it over to the side, kind of guessing what the direct side angle is, and then coming up and making those adjustments. Yeah, inhale, reach to sky. Exhale, bow forward, push-up position, and bowing down until you feel a stretch. What's that?
Exercise very close.
Oh, sweet. It's a good feeling. Play with some movement through the pelvis to find out if you need more stretch or less stretch with a tucked tailbone, more stretch with the tailbone up, less stretch with the tailbone in towards the pubic bone. Push down through those hands and walk yourself upright, inhaling, lengthening through the side bodies, and exhale. So using your core control, not to drop over to the side, but gently come down to that right hand, reaching past the crown. Good. Somewhat rotating the heart towards the sky. Circle sweep your left hand down, right hand down, and release. All right. I'm just going to do a check-in. How are we feeling? What came up? What do you feel like you need more of? Sometimes I do that when it's a small class.
I just have stomach ache, so I actually might take off.
You have a stomach ache?
Yeah.
I almost said tummy ache because I have kids.
Yeah.
There might be some ginger tea. You might want to check the area if it's still bugging you. Yeah.
Is it the altitude?
No, I just ate a big lunch and didn't sleep very good last night, so who
Yeah.
knows exactly, but
Okay, we can do some things that help with
no,
digestion.
don't
but
worry. I'm just gonna take it easy.
yeah, sounds great. Anybody else need anything in particular?
I'd always take the hips.
Okay, we can keep working on hips. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that. Okay, I did a really interesting practice this morning, a class I don't normally take. I think we'll need a blanket for this one. So as we get into this, let's use a blanket because your knees are so strong. You guys haven't complained or grunted about this hard floor, which most people do.
Did you bother me? I don't know why. It's not.
But this one, I think you'll want it. Yeah.
Wow, amazing blanket.
I know.
Is
Is
this Shivanasa now?
I know. This is like what I use for my yoga nidra classes and restore classes. But okay, so you want the blanket far enough wide because let me show you what we're doing.
I'm just gonna take off.
Yeah, no worries.
Alright.
Take
You're
care.
feeling better.
Yeah. Okay. So we're taking the right shins parallel, somewhat parallel to the front of the mat. And if it's too much for the hip, then you'll pull the heel in. So just check in there. And then the left leg is kind of at an angle here. You've got like triangular shapes, a square shape here. So these left shins are more parallel with a long edge. So depending on your knees and your hips, like you may have to change the angles of your feet. A lot of times when I feel things that are uncomfortable in my knees, the more what I call floyd the ankle, the better it feels. So it's like flexion and extension combined. It's just a really energetic place to put your foot in so that your knee is supported. So you try those, you could point, you could flex a lot, just kind of feel like what you need to do as we go deeper. So if you're feeling a cramp in that left hip, you'll move around to try and get out of that, and you can always lean forward this way. But let's try and lean forward, straight forward. And again, if you need to rotate to the right, that's fine. And you're just going as far forward as you can.
Am I doing this?
You are, yeah.
So
So your back leg, and that's the hip that's feeling tight.
they go this one here. I'm tight, like right here, my abductor,
Uh-huh.
and both of my legs are tight here.
Yeah. So let's just see if you take your right arm to the side there, and actually this may feel better or worse. We'll see. That knee, actually bring it back. And then you're going to play with moving this left hip forward and back. So kind of working through the sensation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that alignment.
More movement.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this way. Yeah.
Sometimes when I feel like locked up in my body, I have to move in and out. I mean, like more dynamic stretching versus static. So just depends. If you're liking this, stay here. Maybe you try to the diagonal. Maybe you come up and also do that hip shifting.
What are we trying to feel in this? Which hip?
Your hips open.
Which one?
Which one? Yeah. So different. This leg, you're stretching the hip flexors
Yes.
and some adductor. This one, you're stretching the glutes and piriformis. So different hip sensations, but it just should feel like there's a little bit of resistance in the hips that you're moving through, breathing through.
And starting to help yourself up nice and slow. You can always grab that back leg to help it, or just use the strength of that hip to lift it up externally. Rotate now that left leg and pause. So just going to sit for a moment and just feel your hips. Perhaps close your eyes. Notice if they're holding tension in the hip flexors. If so, hold on to your knees. Sit up nice and tall and engage your core. Push your knees in toward your hips and see if you can consciously get your hip flexors to release. Even though we're not in a hip flexor stretch, they're in flexion and rotation. Just see if you can soften that resistance there. And slowly transitioning to the other side. So we'll lift that right knee up, lean to the left. My left leg, my lower leg is parallel with the front as much as possible. So the more I have that parallel, the more intense it'll be. So if I need less, I'm going to pull that heel in. And then with this leg, the more forward it is, the less stretch in the hip flexors. The further back it is, the more stretch I'm going to get there. So, and some abductors just don't like this position. I know my mom, her hips don't like this position at all. So you can always bend the knee more, pull the knee further forward, and then we'll just do exploratory movement. Again, you have the option to lean forward. You have the option to lean to the diagonal. You have that option to stay upright and move that right hip forward and back. If you feel this in the knees, perhaps add a little bit more flexion, muscle energy, I call it, through the feet. You've got those three options to work with. You can keep moving through them or hold one. And as we open hips, it's not uncommon for the shoulders to tense up, the jaw, the eyes even. So just scanning from the shoulder blades up through the crown to notice if you're holding any tension. If so, exhaling and softening, letting gravity relax your face and shoulders. And then finishing up here, we'll help ourselves up by pressing into the hands and leaning over to the left to bring that right leg around. And now the other leg's crossed in front and we just pause. And so I love pauses in between deeper poses, just like, oh, okay, what did that do for my body? So just checking in. How do your hips feel? Notice the energy change and shift. And then if there's any residual resistance or tension that came up to the surface, see if you can just hold it for a moment, allow it to be as it is, give it permission to stay if it needs to stay, or let it go on your next exhale. Blinking the eyes open. If they're closed, we'll uncross the legs and then use your blanket. You have unfolded to where your whole torso can be supported and comfortable on the blanket. So bend the knees. Let's actually take the arms to a T position. Heel toe your feet as wide as your yoga mat. So if your feet are on the blanket, just kind of guess where your yoga mat ends. And begin to windshield wipe your knees from side to side. Massaging the tops of the glutes and moving in that ball and joint through the hips. And visualizing synovial fluid lubricating the joints. And then we'll bring the knees in towards the chest, holding the knees with the hands. We're just going to circle around here, get more into the low back. And go the other way. And then we'll pull the knees in towards the chest. Legs are together. And then the toes touch, the big toes touch. Inhale as you circle your knees out, so diamond shape with the legs. And then close up as the knees push into the hands, the arms are straight. And then pull back in. Inhale, close up. Exhale as you pull in, so the thighs pressing against your belly. Inhale, open. Exhale, pull in. One more time. And then tucking into a tight ball. Imprint your spine on the earth as you lift your head up, giving yourself a big squeeze. And release your head. Place your feet on the earth. And bridge pose, arms by your sides or robot arms. The focal point of this pose is actually the upper palate. So think of your jaw or the back of your head pressing into the earth. Press the backs of your shoulders into the earth and start to lift the hips up. We're lifting the hips up and taking tension out of the glutes and the low back. So just little wiggles. You can just wiggle your hips big or little tiny wiggles and feel your skin shaking and allow that to be a release for your low back. And then slowly come back down. Well, as you come down, scoot your hips to the right about 3 inches. And then knees over to the left, arms to a T. We'll work through another iliotibial band stretch here. So you'll extend your top leg, so that's your right leg, until you feel a stretch. If you need to just go back to a basic spinal twist, then bend that knee. And perhaps you're kicking the leg out, bending it back in, or holding here. So lots of different options here. You could grab the right leg and kind of pull it up towards the shoulder. You could grab the outer foot and kick into the hand. That's a pretty big stretch right there. You could take your left hand under your leg and support the leg. And 2 more big breaths here. Sending the breath down to your hips. Bend the right knee, open up the inner thighs, scoot your hips back to center if you need to. Baddha Konasana, Supta Baddha Konasana, Supta on your back, supine position, belly up. Baddha Konasana, legs in the diamond shape, opening up through the adductors. And giving yourself permission to breathe in a way that feels supportive and also releasing. So inhaling and then exhaling, even out through the mouth if that sounds good, if it feels good to open the mouth. slowly close up the legs here. Scoot the hips slightly to the left, knees to the right. Pause there. You may feel content here, which is great. Stay here if you want. If you want to go into that iliotibial band stretch, extend the left leg. If it's pretty intense, bend straight through the knee a few times before you hold it. And try and anchor down your left shoulder so that you can find that deeper, more expansive stretch through the side of the torso and side of the leg. And begin to bend the left knee if it's straight. Bring your knees up, hips to center, and then legs together, knees together. Heel toe your feet as wide as they'll go. Deep inner spiral of the femur bones at the hip sockets. And then take your hands to your belly. Allow your inner thighs, groins to relax towards the floor. And just focus on some deep belly breathing right here. Begin to separate the knees, the inner thighs. Send your right leg out straight to a diagonal and left leg out as well. And then let your arms flow open, Shavasana pose. If you need a bolster or anything under your knees, let me know, but this is your time to just completely relax, let go, be still, connect to your beingness, release the doing, and fully and completely surrender. And gently guiding your attention back into your body if you've drifted away. Taking a deep, conscious breath. And starting to move fingers, toes, shoulders, hips. Take your time bending through the joints as you roll over to your left side. Make a pillow with your arms, bend your knees, and pause in nurturing pose. And just noticing how you feel. And perhaps giving the mind and heart something to focus on if you'd like for the remainder of the evening. Thinking of yourself as radio, and what station do you want to tune into for the remainder of your day? Joy, love, appreciation, gratitude, happiness, contentment. And bringing that with you as you start to press your arms into the floor, coming into a cross-legged position, Sukhasana. And then bringing the hands to the heart center, just bowing the head, checking in with the heart space, honoring where your heart is today, thanking your body for moving, releasing, flowing, strengthening. And I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, light, truth, and peace. When I am in that place in me and you're in that place in you, we are one. Namaste. You're welcome. That help?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, and this one I don't usually well, I've done it before, but I did that with this teacher today. And I always remember my mom in my class, oh, my hip doesn't like this. So I hardly ever do it. But I'm like, let's at least try it, see if it's okay. I mean, I think it's a cool, different stretch than just regular pigeon.
Yes.
I don't know. But hopefully you feel good, and I hope he's okay. And
He was from great already this morning, so yes, he's like his knee is bad, so he can't ski. So it's a little
that's annoying.
Oh, he went
Yes,
skiing and
yes, he wants to ski, but he can't.
can't.
He's a little bit. We're beginners, both of us, and then So I'm running.
Mhm.
Hi, how did you running? It's sucks.
Oh my gosh.
But it's really
I
good.
can't imagine. I take the stairs up 9 flights of stairs, and at the end, I haven't got my house yet. But yeah, that's a change.
Where did he?
We ate in the
Oh, okay.
I had a burger and fries with my daughter. My 3 o'clock didn't run, and so we ate that, and I was like, I could kind of feel it heavy in my tummy. I'm like, oh, that wasn't such a good idea, but.
No,
And
when
big lunch.
he was eating, we were waiting a little bit too long before we ate, and then he ate. So we make our day, but he's fine. He knows his body. He knows his life, so it's fine. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I hope he can find something to nourish his achy tummy, and there's probably something in the gift shop or something. To find something, but
Or there's basketball on TV.
yeah, sure,
so-
that'll make it feel better. Maybe that was his excuse.
Yeah,
I'm fine. I just want to go watch some basketball.
It's so sweet, man. That's good, yeah.